Well, good morning, radio listeners. You are listening to 90.3 WMSC, Upper Montclair, New Jersey, also known as, me from my bedroom and everybody else from their respective rooms. This is the Morning Buzz Monday/Quarantine Edition. Welcome to Phase 2, New Jersey. We'll be talking a little bit more about that coming up. In case you have
Phase 2.
never heard of me before, my name is, in fact, Ryan Trick, last time I checked, and I am joined by my wonderful co-host.
Amanda Marino.
And in our digital studio, we have the legendary newscaster.
Legendary. Right here, that's me, Mr. Jeremy Wall. Guys, I don't know about you, but I am excited for this phase 2. I've been waiting for it. There is so much to look forward to in this second phase of reopening.
I am super amped. I would say equally parts amped and concerned. But I guess
agree.
we'll get a little bit more into that later. For now, we will, as always, kick off today's show. It is 6/15/2020. Welcome to the Monday show. I'm so excited for today's show. Jeremy,
I'm
I gotta
so
know.
excited.
Jeremy, I gotta know, man. I gotta ask you the question, Jeremy. I ask you every week, Mr. Jeremy Wall, what's going on in the world?
Ryan Rayshard Brooks' death has been ruled a homicide. According to Insider, the 27-year-old from Atlanta was shot by a white police officer on Friday outside of a Wendy's restaurant after struggling a sobriety test and running away with one of the officer's stun guns, only to point it at them. Brooks suffered from gunshots in his back, which led to his death along with protests yesterday. The officer who shot Brooks was fired while the other one was placed on administrative leave, and Atlanta Police Chief Erica Shields resigned following his death. Well, people in New Jersey are waking up to phase 2 of the state reopening beginning today. Non-essential retail can reopen their doors to 50% capacity, and restaurants can have outdoor dining. Hair salons, barber shops, nail salons, tattoo parlors, and other personal care businesses can reopen next Monday, along with community pools and outdoor non-contact team sports. Gyms, libraries, museums, and some government offices are expected to soon join them. No date has been set for those to reopen. The Hollywood Reporter is reporting that Philippine journalist Maria Ressa was sentenced to jail today after being convicted of libel. Ressa, who is known for being critical of Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte, was found guilty with her online news site Rappler Inc. and former reporter Reynaldo Santos Jr. of libeling a wealthy businessman. The journalist was not taken into custody right away, but did post bail for the case. Let's get to the forecast. Beautiful day for outdoor dining, as highs will be in the mid-70s with a mix of sun and clouds. Tomorrow we stay in the mid-70s with more sun and clouds. Finally, hump day, a rise of temps in the high 70s with sun and clouds again. So it is a great day to enjoy phase 2 of New Jersey reopening. 10:03. Let's send it back to Ryan and Miss Amanda. Guys, what do you plan to do in phase 2 of our lovely state reopening?
I have absolutely no idea.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I
I might be
haircut.
staying here and, staying at my house.
Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully getting a haircut, assuming the places I go to are safe and following all the precautions. I do want to point out, I think a really important part of announcing and, reminding people today is phase 2 is that we got to stay safe during phase 2. We cannot, no matter what, we cannot just continue treating this like, oh, phase 2, okay, let's maybe not wear as many masks. It's like, no. More stuff is reopening. Keep wearing your masks. Keep sanitizing stuff. Don't cough on people. We might get into that one later.
I think what's important too is that if you feel unsafe in any respect, just don't go out or don't do something. I feel like with me, and I think a lot of my friends, it's the same thing now. It's kind of just gradually do what's okay for you. And I think that's really important because yesterday I visited some family, and one of my cousin is actually a nurse. So she works in a hospital. So she kept her distance and she wore her mask the whole time, but we wanted to get together because it was my one cousin's birthday. So we really wanted to see everybody. And so we just kind of kept our distance and we wore masks. We sat outside for a very long time too. Anytime that someone had to feel like they were sick or like not sick, but like cough or sneeze, like they walked away from the area. Like I know I had to cough and I was like, oh, I forgot I can't cough now. So I like went and walked away and I was like coughing into my arm, like across the deck or whatever. So like it's just you got to do what's good for you, and I think that's what we're going to really decide in phase 2. Like I know I'm maybe not today, but in the next week or two I'd be down to go to like a restaurant outside because I miss going to a restaurant.
Yeah.
Yes, I
And
am
maybe
very
seeing some
excited for
friends,
that.
because that's what I'm
Yeah.
excited about, is like maybe I could actually go eat dinner with a friend and not feel like I have to be only in our houses. You know what I mean? Like we can go to our
Exactly.
houses or a park, but maybe I could finally go to dinner outside or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who says people only eat inside? It's summer. You know, you
Well,
have to
yeah,
take
I know,
advantage of the
Yeah,
right? And I-
outdoors
exactly.
and
That's why I'm so
beautiful
happy
weather.
about it. I feel like I could actually like go to a place and not just eat in my backyard though, if I really, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I could
And,
finally go
Jeremy,
somewhere else.
like you raise a good point. I mean, it is summer. I think that phase 2, I mean, obviously this whole pandemic has been terrible, extremely stressful on pretty much every industry and every person
Yeah.
in the
Except the
US.
grocery store industry, they probably were the only ones.
Yeah. But I mean, just it has been crazy. Um but I think it's like the small stuff that people have really, really been starting to miss. And it's like especially things that I've been starting to miss. So yeah, I like going for walks. I like, doing that stuff. And I can still do that during quarantine, but it's like just like you said, going down to my local tavern here in Burnsville called The Station, which I've been going to with my dad since I was a kid. You know, I haven't been able to go and sit there and talk with
Yeah.
the manager that I've known since I was in the second grade, and you know or just sit outside and maybe like have some apps with my dad. It's simple stuff like
Yeah,
that I
exactly
think
that.
personally I'm missing the heck out of, and I feel like a lot of people are too. And
Well,
it's good to see this, but again, it's super important to remember to stay safe during this stuff.
yeah, and it's funny though, like as we're kind of, I know it's still a thing, we're still in the midst of this pandemic, but as it's kind of like starting to come down a little bit, we're not at the peak anymore, at least in our area. I think it's interesting to note like what's gonna stay and what's like gonna keep the same. I remember we had this discussion like right when this pandemic was starting, like with actually you, Ryan, and Jeremy, that we were talking about. You were like, oh, we're doing this grocery service now. Like I wonder if this like stays, like like going to Panera and like picking up like groceries, or like going
Yeah.
to these other grocery stores or restaurants and just picking up some groceries and doing that kind of stuff. Or we keep more of the stop at the outside and they're going to just bring you your order to your car and things like that. Like, so I'm wondering about those kinds of things, if they're going to start staying when stores start to open.
I
Things
honestly,
like that.
I gotta say, I think they will. They say it takes, I don't know, however many weeks to form a habit. We've certainly been in quarantine long enough for all of us to be forming, hopefully all of us to be forming, some of these habits where if we're
Mhm.
like, oh, I don't need to go out to the grocery store in the middle of the week when it's crazy packed. I can just do this app thing now and have it at my house in
Yeah.
a couple hours.
Right.
Yeah, or
You
have
know?
it like just I go pick it up outside the
Yeah,
place
or
and
go
not to
pick it
go
up
in.
outside, say I'm running errands. Now people
Yeah.
might be more inclined to say, okay, I need to go to these 3 stores. I'll set all of them for curbside pickup and just drive right through them,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
be done with it. And it's safer for people and it's actually more convenient for people.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people are actually going to start seeing this, even though phase 2 is reopening.
I think my
Um,
favorite thing is too driving past like these restaurants that never had outside seating, and now they're all trying to
That's
do
cool.
outside
Absolutely.
seating.
Yeah. So Jeremy,
Like-
what
Well,
were you gonna say?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because you have restaurants like TGI Fridays who they had busboys at one point and they got rid of busboys, and recently I got an email they're gonna have somebody sanitizing the tables and seats in a post COVID-19 era. So it's not just outdoor dining or having to go services. It's about these places bringing back stuff they once had that they got rid of, but now they're back for our own safety.
Yeah, but they're not just back; they're back with a whole new purpose too.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So the idea, of
Yes.
a busboy. Let's be honest. Like before COVID-19, when somebody wiped down your table, I wouldn't be surprised if literally that bottle of whatever wasn't cleaner. It was just a bottle of water and a dirty dish rag they've been using for 3 hours. But
Yeah,
hey,
yeah,
the crumbs
yeah.
are off my table. But now it's gonna be like you might start seeing busboys come around with like Clorox wipes and all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff to quickly clean a table. in the same-ish manner that they used to, but kind of in like a new, like you said, I like how you phrased that, post-COVID era way,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, I mean, we even think about it like as we go back to school in the fall and things like that, I was already thinking about it. I was like, if there's dining halls open, or I want to go like in the SEM building at Montclair and like just sit, like I might have to bring like wipes with me and like wipe something down if I feel like I don't feel completely safe. And that's just not like anybody's fault. Like I could totally trust that Montclair and that any place I go, honestly, is going to try to clean the best. But like, it's just going to be in the back of my head is like, what if this wasn't clean? Or what
I
if this
actually
wasn't?
I actually had this idea, and any entrepreneurs out there listening, this is, hey, feel free to take it. I sure as heck can't do anything with it. I'm not an entrepreneur. But you know the little Kleenex packets that are like really
Yeah.
small? You like stick them in your purse or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
What if they had those, but they were like little baby Clorox wipes?
They're probably going to be complimentary now. They're going to be in like every building. It's like, please take
Hand
one.
sanitizer,
Take one after you.
everything.
Wipe after yourself.
That's awesome that you bring that up. So I recently took a little family trip with my dad. We went down to North Carolina for some work stuff, and then also we swung by Virginia to see my grandma and check up on her. And in both of the hotels that we stayed at, uh, first of all, the hotels were shockingly clean. And I mean, like hotels normally are pretty clean, but I mean, the place almost smelled like Clorox in the best
Immaculate.
way possible. Um, but it was interesting. We got into both times. We got into our rooms, checked the bathroom, and you know how they always have like the little like little baby shampoos and
Yeah,
soaps.
yeah.
Right next to them, they had little packets, like little almost like towelettes after you eat like ribs or something. They
Mm-hmm.
had like a little string of packets of like what you said, sanitizing wipes, like
Yeah.
Clorox wipes. And I was like, huh, you know, I've never seen that before, but that's awesome. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's just like a small thing that's like, huh, that's actually really convenient. And you're right, I wouldn't be surprised if we started seeing a lot of places do stuff like that that's complimentary, you know?
Yeah, I think it's just the way that like every business and place is going to kind of keep safe, because at the end of the day they don't want to get in trouble and they don't want to get somebody sick, because that's just going to be like a lawsuit on their end in any way, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like as I was even thinking about, like, you guys know my obsession with Disney and Universal and all that kind of stuff. The theme Universal just opened up back 2 weeks ago now, and I've been watching videos of like people going, and it's like they have hand sanitizer at like every ride, and they're trying to like, yeah, everybody's wearing masks, like you can't meet characters anymore, and it's like
Yep.
it's crazy. It's like things you like wouldn't have even thought twice about, like, oh, I'm gonna go hug this character, or I'm gonna go on this ride that people have been going on all day and it's people have been touching. It's like touching a door handle. Like you don't know how many people have touched it, but now it's gonna be like scrubbed down every time you touch it now.
Right.
Exactly.
Now, you know those what are they called? Plexiglass that are now
Yeah.
at retailers. I wouldn't be surprised if they hit restaurants now where when you go out with somebody, there's going to be that thing in the middle there where you can still see them, but it's
Yeah.
almost like a ping pong net in a way.
I thought about that, and I have no idea what brought me to think about that, but I had that exact same thought, and immediately I was like, that would be so freaky. I wouldn't be able to do it.
No.
Like it's so okay. Here's the thing, right? I get it. You can still see them. However, maybe it's because I watch a lot of movies and TV, but that reminds me of like talking to somebody in prison, like where you're having like this nice intimate conversation with somebody through plexiglass with like the phone. I
Yeah.
don't. That would be so weird. Here's the thing. I would understand if places started doing it. I mean, I guess I'd understand, but like simultaneously, that'd be so freaky.
I
Like,
think
can you
for right
imagine
now,
going to dinner with your friends and like a 4-seat table, right? And just having like a grid, like an X grid. How are you gonna share appetizers?
I think
It's
for right
weird.
now, I don't think anybody's really going to do that necessarily, because the most likely, if you're going out with somebody, you probably trust them enough to go out with
Yeah,
them. But like, it's
exactly.
more about like keeping you away from the wait staff and stuff. And I think
Yeah,
the wait staff,
probably.
it's just, but like, I think they could still like, unless they're putting something down on your plate, and that's
Just
probably when you have to keep your mask on.
yeah, just
Like everybody
masks.
can kind of like keep a distance while they're taking your order and stuff like that. So, but anyway, as we open up, we just kind of went on a whole discussion there.
Yeah, but I mean, like
No,
speaking
I
of
definitely think
opening
it's
back
important.
up,
Important thing. Something I found this weekend, and I thought it was interesting that I wanted to share with you guys today, was there was a map done by the New York Times. Here it is. Thank you. And they're like, so we're up obviously at the top and in New Jersey, and not the top, but the Northeast, and we have a strong decrease. These are some stats from each state about how we're doing with COVID cases. So our state, New York, Pennsylvania, that has kept the lockdown going a little longer, and as much as everybody's getting upset about it,
we have seen
a strong decrease. While other states may have never ever reached their peak at first and are now seeing more cases than they did the first time, and you're seeing a strong increase in places like Texas and Florida. And I know it doesn't say it here, but it was in a general post that the strongest increase of places is actually Arizona, which I think was like a really weird place, but apparently that's the strongest increase is there.
Well, it's interesting. I was talking to a friend of mine who's in Arizona. Actually, I have friends because I'm on Discord. I play a lot of video games. I have friends from everywhere. I have friends in Arizona. I have friends in Canada. But I was talking to one of my friends who's in Arizona, and we were talking about COVID, and I asked him, like, hey, are people actually wearing masks down there? And he's like, oh, dude, I went out the other day, and there's like nobody wearing masks out. I was out for like an hour running.
It's like
errands,
a foreign thing.
And, yeah, and he said I saw maybe like 5 people wearing masks, and I'm like, how? Now, obviously, this doesn't go for all of Arizona. I'm sure we have Arizona, listeners saying like, "Hey, I wear a mask." It's just like in one town that he was in, but I mean, it's like research has shown, and not even just research, but common sense also. But research has shown that masks can help prevent the second wave.
Yeah, I agree.
Like it's really important, because
and you think about it too, because like I'm looking at this map again, and we look at the strongest decreases in Illinois, which has Chicago, and Chicago's a big city just like New York, and a lot of people on top of each other. And if people are following the precautions there and wearing masks, like that's probably why they're doing better. And I know there was an article that came out over the weekend too that said, the masks are helping a lot more than people actually think.
Yeah.
Like, and I know there's been like pictures online too of people, here's with a mask, here's with not, and you can see how much germs are being more transmitted. And it's like, well, go ahead.
Yeah. So there have been reports that if a second wave were to come, it wouldn't be as bad. They would just say, okay, people need to be more vigilant. That's what reports have said. Mm-hmm. Now, as to whether there'll be a second wave, nobody knows.
There is starting to be a second wave. That's the thing.
In the places that never really shut down.
In the places that never really shut down, that's actually what we're that's what we're starting to see. And, that's what a lot of people are saying. Like, research has shown, when lockdown periods are combined with 100% mask use, and I'm not talking about, okay, this is shout out, not really, to all the people rocking the chin mask or the neck mask. You got to wear it over your face. You cannot wear it on your chin. It's not a beard. You can't wear it on your neck. It's not a scarf. You need to wear it over your face, nose, and mouth. Thank you. But I'm just saying, I have seen so many people not wearing masks correctly,
I know. Trust me, I know.
That's part of the problem. When I was on my trip, I saw a woman standing in a store, not wearing a mask, holding it. It hurts. It physically hurts me to try and comprehend what she was thinking by saying, "Oh, I'm safe. Let me hold the mask as I walk into the store and not wear it."
Jeremy, as person that's been working during this, and I just went back to work, how do you feel with the mask wearing? Do you feel safer, or do you feel tell your experience, because I'll tell mine too if you want after.
Yeah, I mean, an interesting story about the mask. During work, I've had no issue with it. Or during one of my many jobs, as many people know, I play many roles, including this role right here.
He does. Jeremy does many things.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Instead of wearing many different hats, he wears many different masks.
Only two.
I'm kidding. It was a joke.
But I was doing a story for Montclair News Lab, and I was working in the field outside of a synagogue that my family and I used to belong to. And I'm doing a stand-up, and I'm watching it. And what do I know in there? The mask. I put the mask on because from what I've seen with reporters in the field, they're wearing the mask. So I'm like, well, if they're wearing a mask in the field, though they might not be with somebody, they're still doing it out of respect. Maybe it's a good idea that I do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching the video, and the mask was only covering my mouth, not my nose. So I'm like, all right, well, that will do.
Yeah, it's an honest mistake people make, I think.
Right. But wearing this thing at work, it's not so bad, but I can't wait till we don't have to wear them anymore. I like being able to leave my house and walk into a public place and not have to put something over me because it's something extra. I get out of my car, and when I go to work, I put my phone away, I put my keys away, I put my wallet away, and I'm like, oh, bleep, I got to put the mask on.
Yeah. I keep doing the same thing.
You know, and I even mentioned earlier, too, it takes X amount of time to form a habit, but, you know, I think we can all admit it's a weird habit to form, you know, making sure you have a mask everywhere you go. So for example, I always keep masks. My dad and I always keep masks in his car. I would be keeping them in my car if it didn't get totaled by a tree, but you can go check that video out on our YouTube channel way back if you're interested. Boom, that's a plug. But so we always keep masks in the car, and my girlfriend came over, and I know she's been quarantining. I've been quarantining. So we went out just to like go for a drive, and we are gonna pick up some Starbucks or whatever. And surely enough, we get all the way into town, and we look around the car, and we're like, all our masks are at home. All my masks are in my dad's car.
Oh,
so it's just stuff like that, you know. It's like, I think it's an honest mistake that a lot of us are making.
So how do you feel about? I'm sorry, Jeremy. I was just gonna ask you a question actually. How do you feel about like how you're like wearing a mask for like you work at a grocery store, right? If I'm not mistaken. Okay.
When I'm not on air, I'm at a grocery store.
Yes. Well, same.
Jeremy is not live from ShopRite at the moment. For those of you who are not watching on Facebook.
So how do you feel wearing it though for that long? Do you feel like safer, or do you feel like is it like, I know it's annoying. It's annoying for everybody, but do you think it's safer? Do you feel like you're I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts about it?
I do feel safer, but I feel after you wear for a while, you kind of feel the air that you're breathing, and sometimes it has a gross smell, and it gets to the point where it's like, oh my God, can I take this thing off?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I can't do that, but which is why I'm waiting for the day where we don't have to wear these things anymore. We could say goodbye to them and keep on walking. That won't be for a while. And here's a big question to all our listeners. Since like all accessories, these have become a big thing to collect. How many of these things do you have? I mean, I only have one, but people could get really creative with them. I mean, I've seen Marvel, I've seen Justice League.
I have quite a few now, just because like it depends. Well, like I prefer like the plain surgical ones, but work just gave me a few now. So like with the logo on it and stuff. So I've been wearing those, and they're actually not too bad. They've been pretty nice. And I just ordered a few that were like more nicer, but they were like adjustable. So like, cause the regular ones don't stay on my ears. So like I have to wear like an adjustable ear one, or the surgical ones, cause they're like lighter on your ears. But I mean, I've only been wearing it for a few days for like long periods of time. Like, shout out to those healthcare workers that have to wear them all the time on a regular basis. Like, that's, I couldn't even imagine that. Like, a lot of people like don't even understand that. And that's what kind of makes me upset too, when people come into like, cause I work at a grocery store too. Like I just went back after a while of not being there. Like I was there at the start of the pandemic, and then I came back, and like people will come and complain to me that they have to wear the mask. And I'm like, you're talking to the person, and anybody else that's in the store that's wearing them for extended periods of time, you have to wear it for all of 5 minutes. I think you could survive. Like, that's just being like, right out with it. But, I don't know.
It's being reasonable. I guess the to kind of, the one thing that people should take away from this whole discussion is just be smart. I know it's hard for some people out there. It's okay. You can do it. I believe in you. just try and be smart. Use common sense.
And it's not
Wear
saying
the
you
mask.
have to wear it every second when you're outside. Because if you're
Exactly.
outside in a park and you're not near anybody, you don't need to wear one.
Yeah.
If you're
When you
hanging
start
out
going
with
near
friends,
people, even what you can do is, for those of you who are watching, you can literally, I'll be out for a walk with my dad, and if I'm passing somebody, I don't feel like going, pulling my mask out and equipping it, I literally just do this. For those of you who
Or
can't
yeah,
see,
and, like,
I'm pulling my shirt up in front of my
I've been
face.
to the park a few times now too, and if people come into like my path, I'll literally just move to the side. That's what I would normally do on a normal day, because you don't want to be like rude and like run into somebody.
Yeah.
So I would just move to the other side of the path.
Face
and,
away
like,
from
stay,
them.
Yeah,
There's
stay,
nothing
like,
wrong with
away.
facing away from them. I do that all the time. You do like a quick wave, like hello, and then like face away from them when you get close.
And
just
I think
simple
that's
stuff
just
like
really
that.
Yeah, that's really important. And also, if you want to get together with people, like a few friends, like, and you trust them, that's up to you. That's like, it's on you and you figuring that out. But if you do go into a public place like a grocery store or something like that, just realize it's for the comfort of others and it's the safety
Yes.
of others. It's not just you, it's protecting everybody around you.
That's something that I feel like a lot of people don't fully understand. The
Mhm.
mask is not necessarily just for you. The mask is for everybody around you.
Mhm.
It is partially for you. Obviously it helps a little bit for germs not breathing in germs. However, it's mostly used for you not exhaling germs
Exactly.
to other people. So even if you're like, hey, I'm a, I don't know, young 20 something who's never gotten the flu in my life, and I'm, the healthiest person on the planet, I don't need to wear a mask. Please just like know that you could be asymptomatic.
Mhm.
Yeah, sure, you might not be sick, but the old lady just, going to the store to buy some sorbet or something might be, that you end up walking near because you don't have a mask.
And I'm gonna
You got
be
to think about other
honest.
people.
I'm gonna be honest. As much as like so like I went back to work last week and I worked like 3 days in a row. The first day it was the hardest because like I hadn't worn a mask for that long and just doing it. And I was like, okay, I'll be fine though. I'll survive. The next day I worked, or the day after that, I worked like an 8-hour shift. And that was when I was like, here we go. Like I'm good. Like I think I'm like actually like can do this now. I could actually like, because it feels like it just, I don't know if you feel this, Jeremy, but does it like just you start to forget about it? Because it's like, as much as like you still have to speak up because now your voice is a little mumbled and stuff, like I just it kind of go like felt natural. I don't know, that's how I feel about it now.
I'm tempted to put on my Instagram story, take a poll and find out how many people or how many masks people have. I'm really tempted to do it.
No, it's true. No. He's right, because one last thing that I kind of wanted to bring up is, and I remember saying this, I think I've reported like 2 or 3 stories about this on the buzz throughout the pandemic. I am a firm believer in the theory that after the pandemic, masks will become like
a new fashion statement
in accessories. Huge in accessories.
Well, because it's gonna be like, it's
reasons.
Like okay.
I think one, because obviously it's another accessory. So many people have been wearing them. It's almost become commonplace, and people are starting to get really, really creative with them.
Mm-hmm.
2, because it's going to be, in my opinion, I feel like it's going to be this kind of psychological thing where people are going to be much more aware of germs and of going into crowded places. So I already know from now probably until the day I die, whenever I go into New York City, I'm going to be wearing a mask. And that is not something I would ever have thought of in my life. But right now, I cannot imagine going into a city without a mask on.
Yeah.
I can barely imagine going into town without a mask on.
Yeah.
I'm taking a poll right now.
So I feel like it's going to be a balance of both. People are going to both really like it because of fashion, and also,
no, you're right. You're right. It's gonna become like, I know my mom works in school and she was already talking about it. She's like, are like the kids gonna be like, oh, you have a nicer mask, and this was like a Michael Kors, and this one you bought it for
Kors mask.
Can
you get like a knockoff Gucci mask?
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. But I don't know. I agree though, because I already thought about it, because I was like looking for like band masks, because like some of my favorite bands have made masks.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is gonna become like the new band t-shirt, instead of me wearing like a t-shirt that's like, hey, I support this band.
Look, all I know is I want a plain black, and I still have yet to find one. I want a plain black mask that has a large white outline of a like a one of those curly handlebar-esque supervillain mustaches kind of on the front of it. That's all I want in life.
Anyways,
on my
I'm moving on from the mask discussion because we went on a full-on discussion on the mask. We also have to realize now, just because if you're not wearing a mask, and even if you are, you have to still try to keep socially distant from people. Honestly, before this, sometimes I really wanted to stay a little socially distant from some people because, I'm being honest, when you go to like a place, sometimes people are like on top of you.
And I'm an introvert, so I get what you mean. It's just the way that you phrased it sounded
I'm being serious. Like you're somewhere. Think of like a place you're at, and then you're like, maybe it's like a grocery store, and people are on top of you.
Yeah,
they literally just don't know what personal space is. Yeah. So you got to keep that in mind, especially now. If you over the weekend though, keeping with the apparently not social distancing, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo tweeted this weekend after a video that was posted on Friday on Twitter about people not following the social distancing guidelines, and Cuomo said, quote, "Don't make me come down there." As you can see, these people have music going, partying in the street, not
huge
socially distant. Only some people are wearing masks.
Yeah.
And
don't make him come down there.
And that's the thing. We have to think about it that way too. Like, so don't make him come down there. Yes, of course. We have to realize though, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, and a lot of these places, like the tri-state area, basically, has been really trying to we've been quarantining longer than a lot of other states. And what we realize is we've been doing the work, and we don't want to ruin that just by people just going out immediately or having people from other states come here and try to ruin that as well.
Yes. Please understand, for those of you who are not from New Jersey, New York, New Jersey is, I believe, I could be wrong on this because I've always been terrible at geography, but I do believe that New Jersey, I think, is like the most highly dense population, the most highest density population.
I don't know that fact.
State,
I'm not gonna stand with that. I'm gonna stand by the fact of
I can't speak words, but
the most
point
people
being, that's one of the reasons why. Yes, that's one of the reasons why we've been so safe, though, is because we are, especially in New Jersey and New York. If you've never been here, I mean, we live on top of each other. It is. She's not kidding when she says, like, some people just don't know personal space. If you've never taken a trip to New York in your life, I highly recommend it. It is such an interesting experience. Yes, with a mask after COVID, obviously. But I mean, it really is an experience, and you might understand, like, wow, this is why they've been quarantined for so long.
Yeah, and that's the thing that we have to remember too. Like, okay, so we're not New York, but we're really close to New York, and we were the second highest cases in the States when this first hit, because we were so close to New York. A lot of people that live up north in New Jersey, like, commute into the city. They have jobs in the city. Even people all over New Jersey, they commute into the city, and a lot of that was affecting people. Like, people were going back, and like, even like thinking about us as students, we go to New York I don't know about you guys, but I go pretty
on
at
the
least
train
often.
Too?
Yeah, like it's pretty common for us. I went to New York City the week before the lockdown because like I was going for an audition for something.
I was going to go to New York the day that the school the School of Comm decided to cancel all trips.
Exactly. That's what I mean. It was we're so like, oh, we live in New Jersey. We're only like 40 minutes, half hour away from the city. Why don't we go often? And that's why we do. So it's like, so some people don't understand, why do you go to New York so often? It's because there's a lot to do, and like we're right
from
there.
From Montclair State University, you can see New York City from campus. That's how close we are. We are within spitting distance of New York.
It's like, it was hard for us, and we had to go under this quarantine for a very long time as well because of our close proximity to New York, and that was a hotspot zone. We were a hotspot zone.
Yeah. So please just don't make him come down there. Don't make Cuomo go.
Don't make any of the governors. Don't make any of the. Don't make any of the governors come down there too. I know over the weekend we saw people. I don't have the video on me, but we saw people over at the Jersey Shore
Oh,
like getting mad
yeah.
at Murphy too because like things weren't opening fast enough and stuff. And I think you have to realize at the end of the day, the governors are human too, and they're trying their best. And we're
Yeah.
all trying. Where everybody's trying their best in these like unprecedented times.
Yeah.
And that's
Now
really the end of the
there
story.
is always that the debate that's been going back and forth, and I've actually been having this discussion a lot with my friends and especially my dad and my family recently. Is I think one of the reasons people are really upset is this is starting to really kill small business.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I live in a town where it is built on the back of small businesses. I mean, there are like two things in my town, okay? There are banks and there are a lot of small businesses, and that's literally it. We also have a train station, and like that's all.
Bernardsville.
That's pretty much all of my town. And, it really hurts to see a lot of these small businesses are struggling. And
Yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons, well, I know that's one of the reasons why a lot of people are getting upset. But again, it's this weird balance where you need to find a balance between economic health and
Yeah.
physical health.
And the thing is, and I fully understand like
Mhm.
this. So I don't own a small business. My family doesn't. So like I can't say like I fully understand it, but I get it. And I think that the thing though is even if we open, like I think they're technically opening today with the 15th,
Mhm.
the second phase. Even
But
opening
non-essential
today,
businesses are
even opening today, and even having you like you could be fine, you have your employees are all safe, you have the precautions. You have to understand a lot of people are still not going to come to your store because of they're being cautious.
and a lot of
Like
stores just haven't even been able to make it to phase two. That's the hardest
yeah.
part,
And
is
that's the
walking through
thing.
town and seeing like there's that old antique store or that old
Well,
sewing
yeah,
shop, that's
exactly.
just the tailor, whatever's,
And
not coming back.
for me personally, being in a like I'll say retail store for instance,
Mm.
there's no need for me to go to a retail store, so I'm not going to put myself in the situation when I could order mostly everything online, whether it's small business or not. I supported a small business last week. I was buying masks and stuff, and like that's the way a lot of people are going to do it. They're going to buy it online so that they could trust where it's coming from, and like whether they leave it in their garage for a few days or they scrub everything down, like it's just going to be the way that people are going to feel. So even I'm glad these small businesses are open. I think it's going to be hard for a lot of people because I don't think a lot of people are going to want to go say like, hey, first
Yeah,
thing today, like I'm going to go into a store and I'm going to buy something. When
exactly.
a lot of these small businesses also have online stores. So if they're doing well that way too, I would say good, but I'm glad these stores are going to open. It's going to be a hard time for a little bit, I think, but this is a segue. A
Exactly.
lot of places are doing really well right now.
She's learning the segues. Trained her so well.
A lot of people are doing really well right now.
A lot of
Ryan,
big business. Yeah.
Ryan, tell us.
So, it's interesting. We have seen so many different like shortages of just random stuff. I still to this day am trying to wrap my head around why the entire like I don't know coastal U.S. ran out of toilet paper for like
Our grocery store is still
weeks.
out.
Yeah, like
We're still out.
come
And
on,
we're
people.
still out
It's
of
toilet
cleaning
paper.
supplies,
I'm not even gonna
everything.
get into it. Cleaning supplies, I understand. Toilet paper, whatever. Not gonna get into it. But so we've seen crazy like shortages of supplies and whatnot. Stores limiting purchases. We've seen this in things from toilet paper to, like you said, cleaning supplies and Clorox wipes, and we've seen it, in foods. We've been hearing shortages of fresh and frozen, like ground meats and stuff. But there are now starting to be shortages of something else that I honestly did not see coming until I read it, and now it makes perfect sense to me.
Mhm.
So I have a question for you guys. Do you own a bike?
Yes.
You do. Okay, Jeremy, I'll start with you. How often do you ride your bike? When was the last time you rode your
Every
bike?
day.
Every day? That's awesome. I used to be a huge bike rider. I used to have a bike. I rode my bike to school ever since, well, I think ever since like the fourth grade or something, ever since I learned how to ride a bike. Um, so I used to ride a bike all the time. Eventually I got rid of it. I don't have one right now. Amanda, do you own a bike?
Yes.
You do? How often do you ride it?
think the last time I rode it was like freshman year of high school,
Oh,
and I'm gonna be a senior in college.
well, you might wanna break your bikes back out, because merchandisers like Target and Walmart are starting to see an unexpected aisle being just completely cleaned out, and that is bikes. Just plain old regular family affordable bicycles. They've been completely selling out over the past 2 months, and the industry has seen its biggest spike in sales since the oil crisis back in the 70s.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah. So the big boom in the bike industry is most likely from, gyms being shut down, people wanting to exercise, and also, you know, like you said earlier, Jeremy, it's nice out. It's summer. People want to get outside. People want to do stuff.
Yeah, and I think the
So
thing is,
people
like,
want to go for bike rides.
I know it's not here, but I've also been seeing, like, pools. People are really trying to buy pools and like install pools
Yeah.
in their backyard because they know if you're home right now, I think about a lot of industries are already said that, like, you know what, we're not going to send our workers back until we're like confident, like, there's a vaccine or some sort. So they're like comfortable with keeping their workers at home. And so a lot of people are like, well, what am I going to do with my summer now? Or like even kids, some kids aren't probably going to go to summer camp, and whatever the case may be, like, people need to keep occupied. So I think these are just ways that people could be like, hey, I'm just going to stay home and I'm going to chill by my pool, or I'm going to go take a bike ride with the family because everybody's home and we have nothing better to do. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, exactly. I mean, people are just trying to get out, and do stuff that they couldn't normally do. I mean, this is around the time where pools should be opening, and here we are, stuck inside. I'll be honest. I'm still wearing pajamas right now. It's because it's either you're inside or you're trying to find things to do outside, but it's not always easy, which I think is why people, like you said, are starting to install these pools and buying bikes. I have seen so much, and this I still don't understand. Ever since the pandemic started, I think about every 4 houses in my entire town are going under some kind of like renovation construction. People are like putting additions on, and I've seen people been installing pools, and it's like, I get it, but
I think it's also like a safe zone almost, if you think about it. Like, your house is a safe zone, but also like thinking about a pool, a lot of people have been okay with it because there's so many chemicals in a pool. So they say that like the chemicals will kill the virus or whatever. But if you have friends and you trust them and family, you're going to want to hang out by your pool, like, and not go to a beach or go somewhere else where it's going to be super crowded, and you could just kind of hang out in your backyard and be like, all right, I feel good. I feel safe. Like, if I got invited to a pool, I'd be like, all right, that's fun. Like, I'll do that.
As long as they're staying safe and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah. And the bikes too, like bikes, I mean, you bring them to parks and stuff and you ride them around your neighborhood, but like, they're your zone. They're almost like your little bubble. Like, you're not really like, you can't really like get into really like close distance with people, like when you're on a bike, unless someone's like following you or something. Like, it's usually just you and whoever else you're with biking. So I think, I don't know.
I believe it was Annabella, so our general manager, Annabella, before the show was telling us a story. She went into a bike shop to look for a bike, and there were no bikes for sale. The only bikes they had were ones that people owned that were just in for repair, which is like, that's nuts to me. I got a bike shop like one town over that I've bought my bikes from, and like, I cannot imagine walking into that shop and just seeing it empty, but that's what we're seeing. It's just a huge shortage in bikes right now. People are craving that outdoor activity. What's up, Jeremy?
I was looking at bikes to see what my local Target and Walmart have. I typed in men's bikes.
Yeah.
And the closest thing I found to it in stock was this little $94 Paw Patrol bike. I don't know if anyone yeah.
I'd be riding. You know
awesome.
what? I'm gonna get the Paw Patrol bike and I'm gonna ride around on campus on it. So I'm gonna.
Let's see what Walmart has. That's the
with like a boombox, and you got to be like just blasting "Riding Dirty" on repeat. Like,
I'm gonna like ride around on campus so like everybody can keep their distance from me, but I'll be like riding around.
Exactly. Got the shades on. Got to go for some aviators.
Yeah. And I'll just be like getting some sun, but like riding around, and it would be great.
You want to like catch some sun, but since you're cool, you don't want to look like you're out to purposely catch sun. You're just kind of like out. catch and raise because you kind of just like
I'm
exist
just gonna
in
pull up
the
to my
area.
class in my
Yeah.
Paw Patrol.
Oh yeah, no, you need to wheel
Little
into the
tricycle.
classroom in your Paw Patrol
I'm
bike.
just gonna be like, no, you think I'm like kidding, but I would
Just
so
deadpan. That's the hardest part about pulling off jokes. I like to prank, like do some weird jokes and stuff with my friends, and the
So
hardest part of it is just doing it deadpan. But only Paw Patrol bikes, Jeremy. Seriously,
like
yeah.
I'm only allowed.
Well,
I will only
crazy.
accept. I will only accept Paw Patrol.
Well, I checked what my local Walmart has, and they have more. They have a Kent 26-inch North Point men's mountain bike that you can only purchase
Ah,
in the store. Um, they
so
don't have
there
a
is a
price
little
for it.
bit of stock, but I mean, so again, this is something that I had never thought of until I read this article today, where people are just buying bikes. And it's weird because it has nothing to again, the last time the bike industry blew up this big was back in the oil crisis when people were like, hey,
In the 70s.
it's in the 70s where it's just like gas is impossible. I'm going to ride a bike. And it's perfect. I mean, heck, dude, I would ride my bike for like miles. I didn't get a
It's
car
another
until
way
I
that
was
it's just
21
like
because I had a bike, you know?
it's very helpful for the environment too, which is
Yeah,
good.
which is also good. So maybe we'll hopefully see some more stuff,
But
more stories from that. But
Like
another
that.
thing that was booming, that was a shortage that was reported, was a
oh
sports
yeah.
mask. Apparently, people are Under Armour released a face mask for athletes that sold out in under an hour. It's for specifically like athletes. As
Yeah.
we know, a lot of like sports teams are trying to go back. A lot of the little leagues have already started to go back and things like that. But this mask is reusable, water-resistant performance mask designed for maximum breathability by Under Armour's innovation team in record time. The first of its kind mask functions to reduce the spread of respiratory droplets by the wearer. The mask features a unique 3-layer model engineered by athletes during performance. Under Armour says the third layer contains a non-metal antimicrobial technology which inhibits growth of bacteria on the mask.
Yeah.
And the mask is only $30.
Yeah. So thank you to that little tidbit was from a news release that Under Armour released explaining their mask, and it's designed for sports. You're supposedly it's way it stays on much easier, doesn't need constant adjusting,
Yeah. And
won't
this
fall off, won't do the
yeah.
nose thing. You know
This
what I mean by
article was
that.
courtesy of NJ.com, by the way, and they also wanted to note that it's non-medical. So like
Yes.
don't try to use
So
it
this is a
like if you're like
non-medical mask, but
yeah.
it
But
will
it is
hopefully help
supposed
you.
it's supposed to help you in long times like
For those of you watching live on Facebook, or for those of you listening who might be interested in seeing the visuals we have up, you can always watch us live on Facebook or on YouTube. But right now, we do have up the Under Armour page with the mask. It does say they are sold out. But the mask honestly looks cool.
Yeah.
It's nice. Like I said, I think, and just like you said, we're gonna start seeing maybe like designer masks. Right now, you
Fashion
got
statement.
this
It's like you
mask.
always see guys wearing the Under Armour clothes. It's like, here, I got the
Exactly.
mask
Or you have
now.
the dude going out to lunch with like the pressure thing or whatever on his
Yeah.
like elbow and basketball shorts, but he doesn't look like he's been playing basketball. It's just a fashion thing. Like, yeah, I think we're gonna start seeing masks.
My curiosity is like how it's like, because I know like the masks I got now are like adjustable ear straps like around them. I know we were talking about them earlier, but I know they said they're very flexible and they have like the fabric is and it's easier around your ears and stuff. But like if you're like really engaged in a sport and like you're like running around, like I wonder if it's gonna like flop off or anything. You know what I mean? Like your
Well,
face.
it's interesting. So, most masks are kind of like one size fits all, like
Mm-hmm.
adult, and then one size fits all, like child. I know this because I accidentally bought a one size fits all child on Amazon. It did not fit my face. Made my ears poke out. It was a weird thing. Anyways, these masks are actually based on like sizing. So the idea is they have like a little sizing chart when you would buy the mask, or when you would like go to order the mask, and all you kind of need is like a flexible measuring tape. It says to measure from the bridge of your nose to just past your ear canal, and
Interesting.
it helps you. And depending on like that distance or whatever, it gives you your size, which is
Yeah.
cool. And I think that's really gonna help because you're right. A lot of masks we see, people are wearing like the one size fits all masks or whatever, but you're out for a jog or whatever, or playing a sport, and yeah, it just kind of like falls off or gets uncomfortable, or so I think it's we'll also probably start seeing a lot more of that, where you know we're gonna see way less one size fits all and more. I do think that masks are gonna become a piece of fashion,
Mm-hmm.
but
No, I completely agree. Like I said earlier, it's like wearing a band T-shirt. It's like you're representing a band here. You're representing a brand. You're doing something. Like I don't know. Like I think it creates a good idea for a business, because now you're selling them, and it's like, oh, you're making money. You're marketing off of it too. So I don't know. And if they're nice, especially, you're more tempted to wear them on a regular basis. Like I said
Exactly.
earlier, I got a mask from my work and it has their logo on it, and honestly, like, it's pretty comfortable, and I'm like, if I need a mask to go out, I wouldn't be offended. I wouldn't mind wearing it because it's a nice layer, and it's
Yep.
like, it's adjustable, so it doesn't, like, it didn't even fall off me once. The only time I took it off was like when I was drinking water or when I was on my break. So
Yeah.
it didn't even come off. So
So Jeremy, have you been seeing like these kinds of things in your stores too? The specific like store brand masks, or not store brand, but almost, I guess you'd call them maybe like uniform masks.
yeah,
Kind of
Nah.
part of your uniform at this point, I think.
My store, they just hand out the
The
N95.
typical,
mask.
yeah, N95s. Okay.
What I have seen though is I've seen people, and as we mentioned earlier, get creative with them. I've seen Marvel, I've seen Justice League,
Yep.
Mhm.
I've seen sports teams, and it got me motivated. I'm like, maybe I should get one of those. Maybe I should get a mask that
Yeah, because I
represents
think
me.
Yeah.
like it's funny. Like I said, I like the surgical mask. Like if I go run into the store real quick or something, like to just grab something, I'll just put it on because it's easy, it's quick. But
Yeah.
like we said, it's becoming like more of your like personality in a sense. Like so if you like I said, a band, or you like a movie, or you like something like that, you want to like maybe like represent it, and it's like it's showing your personality. And I feel like I'm boring when I wear like a surgical, because I'm like, oh, I could wear one of
I
these
know,
cute
right?
ones that are like, oh, that's like, oh, I like this. I like cats. I like dogs. I like doing this. So it's like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
it's
And people have also been getting really creative with making their own too,
Mhm.
Jeremy. So like, for example, my dad and I, when this thing kind of first really started and we really started having to wear masks going out, and when it became like mandated in New Jersey, um, we didn't really have any of the classic surgical masks. So what my dad did is he took one of his old golf shirts and cut out like a mask, and it works. And I
I
use
was
it.
doing that
I
with
still use
scarves
it.
at first. I wore them with like scarves, and it's
Yeah.
funny because I'm a cashier. I saw a guy the other day, and I think it was because he like forgot his mask and he had to just run in and grab something. So he was with his son, like probably like his 3-year-old son or something, or 4-year-old. It looks like he took one of his shirts, the kid's shirt that he had in the back of the car, and like just wrapped
Just
the
wrapped.
kid's shirt, because it was like a tiny shirt, I could tell, and
That's
it was
pretty
just like
funny.
it was like it definitely had something like a kid's shirt too, and he like had
Yeah.
it wrapped around his head, and I was
He
like,
was
that's
rocking
so
the Paw
funny.
Patrol mask.
Yeah, the Paw Patrol mask. He came riding in style with his Paw Patrol bike too, right to my lane.
Exactly.
No, but yeah, I think it's definitely like a way, like especially like going back to school in the fall. Like I feel like I'm gonna want to like every day I might put on a different mask because I'm like I want to rock out
Exactly.
in style today. You know, I don't know.
Yeah. I think it'll
Especially if we
be
have to
much
wear
more
them for
common.
like obviously it's very uncertain of how long we're gonna have to wear them for, and I think it's at least what I'm thinking, especially if we have like a second wave or something, it's gonna be a little bit that we're gonna have to wear them, unfortunately.
Yes.
So you might as well look good.
Yeah, and you
While
might as
doing
well
so.
get used to wearing them.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, people with the chin masks. Looking at you. Technically, I'm looking at my camera, but you know what I mean. Anyways, so I got a question. Weird question.
Yes.
Do you guys have pets? You have dogs?
Yes.
No,
You do have a
I
dog.
would love to get a cat though. I was in Petco yesterday
Oh
looking for a cat and doing a
Dude.
delivery for somebody.
You get Wait, they deliver cats at Petco?
They don't deliver cats.
Oh, I thought you said they deliver. I was very confused for a
The
moment.
cat's
Never mind.
gonna come right to your door. It's like DoorDash or something. You're gonna like leave it on the front doorstep.
I would take. I'd pay for it. I'd pay to have a cat by my door. I love dogs. Don't get me
Okay,
wrong.
no.
There's a reason why I love cats. Number one, they're easier to take care of. Number two, they
That's
get rid of
true.
mice.
That's true. Yeah, that's
So
fair.
as a pet owner, I have two
Mhm.
cats that I live with my mom, so I have two cats with my mom. When my dad has two dogs. So
Okay.
I've had dogs quite a bit too. I've had a few over the years. So I've no pets, but
Okay.
yeah.
So I still have a dog. He doesn't live with me. He lives with my great grandmother in Texas, and he is a kind of at this point he's a retired service dog. He was a service dog for my mom, and the training that they put a lot of dogs through, I've always found incredible. The things that you're able to train a dog to do.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's been, I want to say since 1971-ish, the U.S. has had, what are they? Narcotics dogs and explosives smelling dogs used for
So you sometimes see
security
them
and
at the
airports and all
airports,
this kind of
yeah.
stuff. Yeah. So like well over 40 years, we've had these kinds of dogs. Well, they're actually researchers in a veterinary school just outside of Paris have actually been training 8 Belgian, I believe that's Malinois shepherds, to sniff out cases of COVID-19 using human
That's-
sweat samples.
That's crazy to me. Like I
Yeah.
get like seeing for people and things like that, and like maybe sniffing something like a drug, but
Mhm.
like that's weird because like I don't know, like we so don't know this virus well enough that I feel like how is that even possible? But like
You want to
No,
know
I'm
the
here for
craziest
it.
part? It's not one of these things where it's like, oh yeah, they're kind of doing it with like a 65% accuracy. The dog's overall success rate in detecting the cases has been close to perfect. Their average accuracy is 95%. 4 of
Wow.
the dogs have an average accuracy of 100%. Yeah. So we're starting to see now, like people are starting to put
I'm here
research
for
into
it.
things to help with COVID.
Mhm.
Obviously, like we need the vaccine, we need these treatments, but
But right now we don't have that, so we have
yeah,
to
but
find
right
there's
now
a
we don't
lot of
have them, and I think it's just awesome to see like who the heck would come up with the idea of hey,
Yeah.
sniff to see if he has
No,
COVID.
but it's
like,
I
how do
mean
you
it's
train a
great
dog to do
idea.
that?
It's like yeah, that's one thing, but like you use dogs for so many other things like we said, like it's cool. Like I think a lot of these like going back to all these businesses and stuff, like everybody's has their own plan. Obviously everybody's going to keep the cleaning supplies and everything on board, but I think everybody has their different plans and ideas of how they're going to approach this virus and how like they're going to handle it, because right now like we said there is no vaccine, there isn't really treatment yet. So we need to figure out what we could do to like prevent it and
Yeah.
try to like find it early on, and we're trying it with a lot of different things. Like obviously that's why we're wearing the masks, because there's more of a success rate with that of like not spreading a virus. And like I know my work just started, which is so weird, but they do the thermo scanner like
Yeah.
that, like you kind of like see within you, which is weird in itself.
Yeah, it's
But
weird.
like it can see, and it's like so like I everybody has their own thing, so I think this is something that's worth a shot. Why not?
And of course, who doesn't love a cute puppy being able to
Yeah.
sniff out some sickness in people?
They've said it in the past too. Dogs have been able to smell like when
Yeah.
like you have something else
Yeah,
wrong
my
with you.
mom's service dog. His whole purpose was he was actually able to smell whether or not she had a seizure coming on. But anyways, dogs are amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, dogs are amazing. Sadly, I could go on about dogs for years and years, but it is coming up close to the end of the show, so we are going to wrap with a quick story. Atlanta called the National Guard during protests a few days ago, and we actually have a video of what happened. Yeah. They started dancing and doing the mockery. Uh, as always, you can check out the video and visuals showing that we show on the show live on Facebook or on our YouTube channel afterwards. But I love wrapping the show with some good stuff, and it's good to see, some lighthearted, just nice, peaceful, positive fun going on in the world, which I think we all kind of need a little bit of. But hey, that's just my 2 cents. This has been a wonderful show. Thank you guys, as always, for coming on and talking news. Jeremy, I love having you. Amanda, you're the best. Amanda and Adam, thank you both for.
You mean Annabella? You just said Amanda.
Amanda, Annabella, and Adam. I'm
Yeah.
tired. Thank you both for keeping for keeping the wind in our sails during this time. You are listening to 90.3 WMSC, Upper Montclair, New Jersey. As always, I've been Ryan Trick. This has been the Morning Buzz. Feel free to catch us every weekday during the summer from 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will see you guys next time.